Okay. Got defense coordinator Blake Gideon. We'll open it right up for questions. Chad?
You guys have talked about playing instinctual, sort of carefree, simple football. Can you sort of elaborate on that mindset?
Yeah, I think coaches are guilty all over the country. Myself, I'm the most guilty of turning guys into robots, so to speak. Right? Hey, these are the rules. You look here. When he does this, you do this, and we take away some of those natural instincts that we recruited the kid off of. Right? They did something before they got to us that was good enough to get him here. So. We're fighting to find that happy medium, right, between being, the most disciplined team in the universe, but also allowing some of that overlap. I think that's the nature of defensive football nowadays. You got to have some overlap. You can't. Every time one guy, 1 of 11, is a little wrong, it can't, turn into a 75-yard touchdown. Right, you've got to have some overlap and some guys that are filling in for one another, that are playing with their instincts, because they've all got it. They need somebody to tell them it's okay to use it.
I'm going to ask you about 3 of the guys you brought in after the spring in the secondary, Savion, Jai, and John Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Just kind of what did you see from those guys? What kind of roles do they fill for you in your secondary?
Yeah, that's always it's always a little bit of a projection. Not just are they what we thought on film, but are they the personalities that we want? Right, I think everybody kind of goes through this whole transfer portal world. Are they going to fit in the locker room? It's one thing to get a really good football player and a good athlete, but are they the personality type that's going to fit into our culture? And all 3 of those guys, number one, they opened their ears and they shut their mouth as soon as they got here, right? And they listened and they learned and they watched and they saw how we're doing things here. And then once they felt like, okay, now's the time, to let my light shine a little bit, then they do. I think Jai Gilmore is probably the ringleader in that. He permeates maturity, a calmness, a poise that is so important in today's game, especially in the back end, to calm things down, because inevitably they're going to get a first down at least, right? And so to be able to calm it down and prevent disaster from happening. So all 3 of those guys have been great additions. And like I said, it's easy to find good football players, but find the right personality types. That's what's important to us here.
Right.
There's a lot of perceived question marks at coming into the season with the defensive end position, a lot of young kids. And what have you seen from the development there at both defensive ends?
Yeah, number one, I think all those guys in that room, old and young, whether they started at another school or they just got here out of high school, I think we've finally gotten them to stop looking at the end of the road and just worry about today, right? Just focus on today. Let's win this play. Let's win this drill. Let's stretch the right way. Let's go to class the right way. Let's be on time. All those little things. The football stuff takes care of itself. But I think a lot of times people get caught up in the depth chart and where am I starting out at. Don't worry about that. That'll take care of itself. If you start looking too far ahead, then you're not going to be the best version of yourself, and that's what we preach to our guys. That's all we need from you is be the best version of you every day. So I'm pleased with where that room is at, being day 3. Coach just spoke to the team out there after practice, and I think the physicality that today was about and how it sounded like football started in that room, and how those guys were playing violently on the edge.
Coach, what's just your thoughts on how the defense has been performing early on, obviously, in camp? I mean, we know the offense is going to make plays, the offense is explosive, but your defense also makes plays as well. Just what's your thoughts about their resolve and how they've been responding?
Yeah, again, the thing we've preached when we got here is, yes, we want to be intense. We want to play with passion, but we don't want to be emotional, right? And they're going to get a first down at some point this season, right? They're going to gain 10 yards, right? And so let's be able to reconvene, and sometimes I'm not going to have a chance to get him back over to the sideline to get that poise, that calm back to where it should be. So that's what I've noticed coming out of the summer is those guys have grown together. They trust each other a whole lot more, right? I know it was all new back in the spring the last time I talked to you guys, but they're trusting the scheme. They're realizing, okay, I'm only going to do my job as good as you do your job. Right, your job directly affects how I do mine. So you see a lot of that playing off of one another. And again, we bring back the instincts. That's what we're trying to promote is what they're recruited off of.
And then, Coach, do you just, sorry to follow up, when you can't talk to them on the sideline, do you just lean on your leadership a little bit more in that?
100%. Yeah, that's something we're talking about right now. Like, hey, I would love to have 20 timeouts in a game to where I can get you guys over here every time they gain a yard. That's not reality. You guys are going to have to fix the issues in between plays, right? And the microphone is only talking to one guy. Maybe I'm talking to the Mike linebacker or the free safety, whoever it may be, but you guys have to be able to work the issues and have an understanding of the scheme and understanding of situational football and be a situational master to fix your issue until we can get the big answer whenever you get back to the sideline. So I'm pleased with the maturity, not just how they deal with each other on defense when good things happen, but how they deal with each other whenever disaster strikes.
Oh, pardon me, thank you. Coach Gideon, back in the spring, you emphasized your preference to play big numbers of people, and
Yeah.
now it's early, but it's summer. Do you have a better feel for the horses? Do you feel pretty confident you'll be able to play that way, the way you want to play?
I feel better than I did back in March or April, right? Whenever, again, it was all new, and I wasn't getting the best version of everyone because everybody's kind of worried about, am I doing this right? You know, coaches included, we're all kind of learning each other. And so now there's a much higher level of comfort and familiarity coming out of summer. We've been at this thing now for 7 months in this defense. And so, again, there's a calmness to it. There's an ability to work the problem. And the more guys we have that can do that, the better I'm going to sleep at night. Right? You're not going to be able to go up, whether it's Colorado or whoever here at home in the ACC, whatever. You're not going to be able to just play with 11 players and play the style of defense you want to play. Right? I mean, we're going to run to the ball if nothing else. Right? Whether we are able to cover anyone or tackle anyone or do any of that fun stuff, we're at least going to run to the ball. And so to give that kind of effort that we require at this place, we got to play more than 11. So.
How do you feel about Brent Key?
I promise I would never sit down in the practice field and stretch.
You don't have to answer.
Great guy. Great example. Best coach in the country. Best head coach in the country. Great example for all of us.
AJ Hoffler, he got banged up in the spring. We didn't get to see a lot of him, and you guys didn't obviously get as much as you would have liked to. What does he bring to the table? Kind of what do you see from him at that position?
We're a better defense with AJ on the field and AJ around. You know, we mentioned earlier about any addition that we make to this team, it needs to be the right person, not just the best player, right? Yes, he's got some talent. He's not at the end of his rope. He can get a lot better. I think he knows that. He's got that kind of maturity. But, man, he's a positive kid. He's got a smile on his face. And he brings an intensity and a physicality and a toughness. And I think everybody saw that this summer because I was frustrating for him, you know, not being able to go in spring like he wanted to. But he's an outstanding young man. We're blessed to have him. His teammates love him, which I care a lot about, how your teammates feel about you.
Time for a couple more for Coach Gideon. Rob?
Akilo Stone, you came back, you know, in the off season. What does that addition to the defensive line mean to you guys up front? Again,
I've been so impressed, and I gotta give Coach Key a lot of credit on this because he had the relationship before with Akilo, and he came to me whenever Akilo went into the portal and was like, "Listen, this is the right type of guy. I know this guy, right?" I didn't know him. You know, and so I leaned on Coach. I've got no reason not to trust him. But, again, that's what's important to us is getting the right people here. You know, there's just a brand of football that we're going to play here and the standard that we're going to hold our guys to. I think he makes that very clear, not just on the football field, but how they live their lives. And so we want the right kind of people. That's what I've been so impressed with all the additions that I really had nothing to do with that maybe came here back in January or had been signed back in January. Is all of them have fit right in, and they've shut their mouth and they've opened their eyes and ears, and they've fallen right into place and then added to our culture.
Without maybe giving trade secrets away, the green dot and who you communicate with on the field, everyone kind of has a different philosophy
Sure.
about it. Some linebackers, some like doing the safety.
Yep.
What goes into that thought process for you, and who do you, or I guess, how do you figure out which one you want to talk to? Because it sounds like you've maybe experimented with multiple guys.
Yeah, I think it depends on the game plan, number one, where the biggest line of communication has to occur. If you're doing a lot in the back end that game coverage-wise, and you may put it in CP Lee or Omar or one of those guys' helmets. Or obviously if there's a lot of front stuff that you're doing that game, a lot of front adjustments by formation, then you want to have it on a guy that's tied to the front like a linebacker, which is the more traditional use. But the next thing you got to consider is, can that guy handle all of that jargon going on in his head, right? He's trying to see things for himself too. He's trying to see what the formation was and make this check and make this adjustment and get everybody else lined up. And then my stupid voice is in his ear, right? And he can't get it out. And so that's an experiment right now. We've got it on about 5 or 6 guys on defense right now. And that's an ongoing conversation that I'm having with them, just kind of on the side. Is that too much? Do you want me to shut up a little sooner? I mean, that's real. Like I'm not tackling anyone this year. I'm not covering anyone, right? And so I don't want to just be this jabberbox over there on the sideline and saying, watch this, watch that, right? Then it ends up being this whole watch the run, watch the pass. Yeah, no joke, coach, right? So I want to make sure it's useful information, and I'm getting it to them early enough to where they can settle everything down and play the game fast, or else we're back to square one, and I'm more of a hindrance than anything else.
How would you have felt about that as a player, having that in your
I don't know. I felt like I was a pretty heady player myself, but I got in my own world and I wanted to believe what I saw and didn't want to listen to anyone in that moment, right? That wasn't in between series. So I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. That's why it's such an experiment. You know, this thing is still relatively new. And I think all of us are trying to find the right answer for our team that year, because you have a new team every year. The guy that wore it for you last year, there may be a new dynamic on your defense. So I can guarantee we'll always have it on somebody in the back seven. You know, I love JJ to death, but he's probably not wearing it for us this year.
Right here, we'll wrap up right here.
Coach, this question, obviously you talked about coming over like in the spring. You obviously talked about Killer Stone coming in, AJ Hoffler. Just for you being a coordinator and just off the field as well, how do you connect with the players so that in those moments and they bow into adversity, they can trust you and they just know with the relationship off the field, you're their guy?
Yeah, I think you got to make yourself approachable and relatable. You know, I wear this coaching hat, and at the end of the day, I'm going to make the final call on defense. But at the same time, I don't want those guys to be scared and battered into a corner and afraid to ask questions and afraid to grow their game, right? And so we need to be honest with each other. Without honesty, there is no growth. And so we break it down on, if there's one word every day beyond the toughness and beyond the effort and all that good stuff and focus, we say growth as a unit every day. And we just want to get one day better. And so in order to get one day better, you got to be okay with making mistakes. That's what practice is for. Let's just not make the same mistakes twice. Let's move on to new mistakes every day. So I think obviously it helps that I'm a little younger, and I was in their shoes and in their seats not too long ago. And I remember that feeling of sitting there in that chair and my coach is drawing some calculus equation on the board, and I'm trying to figure out, when do I check this, when do I check that? I never want to lose that. I never want to lose that sensitivity towards that, right? And what I wish would have been done in my career, or how I wish I would have been coached. And that's different for everybody. But if we don't have an open line of communication, and if I'm not inviting to that, then I'll never know how to coach them best. I need to meet them where they're at. They don't need to meet me where I'm at. I see it a little bit differently than a lot of coaches. So I need to be a teacher first. And I call on all of our D staff to be great teachers. So let's find out how the pupils learn. So
Cool. We'll go ahead and wrap up then, bring in the players.
cool.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Y'all be good. Yep.